All right, so here recently I heard of a production company called Double JAST, and I believe that's just the initials. The double J is because there's two names, I believe, that start with a J in the company, and they recently announced their release of 3 Civil War kind of movies, and we're kind of going around getting a basis of what's all going to go on and what led up to the Civil War movements. And from my understanding, a lot of the cast has done their own research to be able to film these productions. And it's just one cast that's able to go across these 3 films. And they're really just competing in this kind of realm that's not established on. We have textbooks and all this stuff, but we don't really have movies to document what's happened. And we thought it was just a really cool, interesting story, interesting take on the Civil War. Considering there's a few movies out there, but not too many movies on the Civil War and stuff. There's been some like Dunkirk that are on battles and stuff like that, but not necessarily the real life circumstances that led up to the Civil War. So I'm gonna cut to a few videos of me interviewing some of the cast, getting some of the information on the Civil War, what's going on in the movies, all this stuff. And then we're gonna show you the trailers for them. They have 3 trailers for 3 different movies, and all a little bit differently themed. Just kind of an interesting take on it. They aren't necessarily so dedicated and serious. They're more of some of them are more humorous angle, some of them are more serious angle. It just all depends on the movie that they're doing. So we'll cut to those cuts. All right, so Sebastian, I heard recently y'all's production company has started to make some films on the Civil War, and I understand that the Union won over the Confederates, but can you elaborate more on the events that led up to the I guess into the production, what led up to the Civil War? Because I know each of y'all had different points of information that y'all studied.
One of them is the pen 1857, which was during the war. That was an overproduction week, which caused the price to fall down. So that's one thing that helped the Civil War. Another thing was banks fell, which people lost their jobs, so homeless, money, all that good stuff. Banks fell. So those 2 things, they helped the pen of 1857 and the Civil War. And another thing they could comment, it was between 1850 and 1860, Cotton helped tie the nation together, which were Southern slave-owning producers and Northern owners. That cotton was the main thing, so it helped tie them together. But there was also things that divided the nation. One was railroads that linked the Midwest and Northeast. So the railroads connect each other and divided that. And then the Arab Canal, it divided by creating trade axis, which that divided the Civil War, helped divide
the nation.
Yeah.
Cool.
And the political parties, which was the Republican Party at that time, they supported increasing tariff, which helped the America just
build.
Manufacturing. And so they helped shrink that, which also divided the nations.
So basically, the economy and the overall relationship amongst America and other nations and stuff all kind of decreased and collapsed, so which caused the Civil War basically.
Yeah, pretty much.
Cool. All right, thank you for your time.
Yeah, no problem.
Appreciate it.
Yep.
All right. So recently, I just talked to Sebastian, one of your other crew members, and he was telling me about how the economy was at a downfall before the Civil War, which led it up to the nation's relationship kind of falling in. Do you have anything else that kind of helped us lead up to the Civil War, gave us a little introduction of what will happen in these next few films?
Actually do. It's called the Mason-Dixon line, and basically it divided the free states and the slave states, so it was right between Maryland and Pennsylvania. And it was actually surveyed by Charles Mason and Jeremiah Dixon, which is where it got its name from. So that's pretty cool little history back there. Yeah. And I think that's about it.
All right, thank you.
Thank you for your time.
I've so far talked to Jordan and Sebastian about the declining economy, the Mason-Dixon line, you know, all that stuff leading up to the Civil War. Do you have anything kind of to add to the I guess the events that happened before?
Yeah, we got John Brown's raid on the Apush Ferry. So basically, it was an
Abolitionist?
abolitionist, yeah. It was against slavery, so he went to raid the arsenal of the Apush Ferry. So it took hostages and everything, but then he got attacked by the federal government. So they took him as a prisoner and they killed him afterwards. But then it was an hero in the north side and the south were really scared. So they blocked their camps against the north side because they were scared of more rebellions and
So it was kind of like the start of a violent kind of revolt against slavery to start the Civil War?
Yeah, I think so, because that was the Civil War was against slavery, but it was a battle for slavery. So I think that happened start too from the Civil War.
So John Brown was kind of like a hero to the North,
Yeah,
fighting against slavery?
Yeah, because it was the north side were against slavery.
All right, thank you. All right, so Anthony, I've met with so far Jordan, Sebastian, and Tolu, and I've talked about some of these events that have led up to the Civil War. I hear you've kind of gotten into the Civil War a little bit more on your information. You're studying Fort Sumter, I believe the bordering states, and then some compromise, right?
Yeah, the Crittenden Compromise. So basically what that was kind of so there were Confederate members who were Southerners, they wanted to secede from the Union, but then there were more conservative Southerners who wanted to stay in the Union. So their last ditch attempt to stay in the Union was the Crittenden's Compromise. But the thing was, they had requests, they requested to have the Missouri's Compromise line moved to the Pacific Ocean. So that basically would protect slavery in the South and expand. Lincoln is against expanding slavery, so then he would refuse the compromise.
Can you kind of elaborate more on, I guess, Fort Sumter and then the bordering states, right?
Okay, so basically Fort Sumter, what it is, it's a fort, but it's a military base by the Union in South Carolina. And as you know, South Carolina is the first state to secede. So many people there are against Fort Sumter. Major Anderson, he was running out of supplies there, and Lincoln decided to send him supplies, but it was only food and medicine. So when the time came for Jefferson Davis to launch an attack on Fort Sumter, Anderson ultimately surrendered.
So I understand Lincoln had some connections to some of the bordering states like Kentucky and stuff like that, right?
Yeah. So basically, border states are very important in the war. So what they are they were the key to victories. So basically, Lincoln and Jefferson Davis, they both wanted Kentucky. There was both pro-slavery people and anti-slavery people there. They both wanted Kentucky. So it was a neutral state, but each side wanted Kentucky to join them.
Okay. So it kind of allowed them for more pressure points onto attacks and kind of seizing more of the nation to support their cause, I guess.
Yes. If the Union lost Kentucky, then it would be a huge blow. Another border state would be Delaware. However, Delaware easily accepted loyalty to the Union because of its location. It's very up north. Well, and then Maryland, another border state, stayed loyal to the Union only because of military force. The federal troops there and the fact that Lincoln had pro-Confederates arrested, it was kind of like a threat.
So this was kind of imposing on them and threatening them.
Yeah. Maryland was with the Union, but only because of
U.S. force.
Yeah.
Cool. So some of this is all in kind of encompassed in one of the films, correct?
Yeah, this is what the South Secession is all about.
Cool. All right. Thank you for meeting with me. Nice. Alright, so I've talked to some more of your cast members, and I've come back because I heard that you also have a second topic on the election of 1860. Now we know Lincoln got elected because we know he was a major part of the Civil War, because especially he had a big influence on like border states. As I just got done talking to Anthony, he was talking about how he really wanted Kentucky, and he was like really forcing Maryland to stay with the Union and stuff. Is there anything you can kind of like bring light to on the way he, or what happened as he was getting elected into his presidency?
Sure. So, as you mentioned before, the election of 1860 was a presidential election, so they were electing a president. There were many candidates, and one of them was Douglas. And it's funny because the Democratic Party was kind of split because some of them favored him, when typically the whole party, like the Democratic Party, would all favor Douglas. So
They all support like one.
yes, so with the split of votes, it actually favored like the new party of Republicans. So that was Lincoln, and the split with the Democratic Party actually helped him a lot in that election.
So, from my understanding, there was 4 candidates, right?
Yes, there were 4 candidates.
And I remember they were like doing like constant threats or something like that towards each other. So they were always like kind of conflicting, and I guess they all had different views on slavery and stuff, right? That would like ultimately lead to what would eventually happen in the Civil War.
There were 2 Democratic candidates and then 1 former Whig candidate. So the Whig party in this election actually changed into, let me see if I have it in here, the Constitutional Union Party. And then the last candidate was obviously Lincoln.
Yeah, because didn't this election mark like the end of the Whigs election or
It
public?
did. The Whigs were pretty much no longer after this election. Yes.
Alright.
And also I'd like to add that this guy, this former congressman named William Yancey, said that after this election, the time for an independent South Republic was like peak. So tensions are growing.
All right. Thank you for meeting with me again. All right. So I've talked to almost all your other cast members, and you're the last one I've met with today.
Yep.
And I understand you have before the election of 1860, there was a debate between Lincoln and Douglas. Was it?
Yep.
In 1858, I believe, right?
That's right.
Can you kind of elaborate more on like what happened in this debate? What was like settling, and any other like contributing factors?
Well, Lincoln, let's see. Both Lincoln and Douglas were campaigning for Senate in Illinois. Now, the thing was going on was Douglas didn't want blacks to be spread around in Illinois or anywhere, just anywhere in their country, because it would spawn a bunch of citizens and voters of blacks that may affect the nation. But Lincoln said that the problem was the spread of slavery. But he said, I don't care about this slave act. I'll support it. I'll support it most definitely. So, and
So they're kind of like in disagreement.
yeah, they're just in basic disagreement. But even though Douglas won and Lincoln lost, this does spur a lot of stuff, for a lot of philosophies, as you can say, for the election of 1860.
And from my understanding, Lincoln quoted one of like the most famous works in history, the Bible, right?
Yeah, in the Bible.
Even though he did lose, I believe it kind of helped him in his political standing, I guess, amongst a lot of other people, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, cool. All right. Is there anything else you can kind of like add or anything like that from the film?
That's kind of it.
Cool. All right. Thank you for meeting with me.